Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance in Long Beach. Today we are joined by Doug Haubert. He is the elected city prosecutor in the city of Long Beach. And I want to speak with you about crime rates because there's a lot of discussion coming out of Washington, Sacramento, Long Beach about whether crime rates are up or down. And I think there are simple answers. We just need to kind of parse them out. What can you tell us about overall crime rates vis-a-vis, let's say, 20 years ago and 2 years ago?
Well, and the 2-year mark is a good indicator right now because everyone's talking about Prop 47. So we've had 2 full years of Prop 47.
And let's remind our viewers, Prop 47 reclassified certain felonies to misdemeanors,
Correct.
a lot of drug possession type felonies.
All drug possession cases now can only be prosecuted as misdemeanors, no matter how many violations you have, no matter how many times you get caught.
And I want to talk more about that soon, but do give us that 2-year mark.
Yeah, so in the last 2 years, people have been looking very carefully at the statistics. In Long Beach, we've seen a 12% increase in murder in the last 2 years, and we've seen a 10% increase in all violent crime, which is a lot, but historically, we are still at all-time lows if you look at where we were just in the early and mid-90s. And just to give you an example, the murder rate has definitely gone up in the last few years in Long Beach. I think it was around 36 in the last year or two. In the 1994, I believe it was, we had over 100. In fact, there were a couple of years there we had over 100. So we're at a third of what we were just 2 decades ago. But we are seeing an uptick. The trend that is disturbing is we had for 30 years seen a gradual decline across the board in all crime categories. And for the last couple of years, they've been ticking up. So we've stopped the trend, the positive trend, and we've created a new one. Let me just put Long Beach, though, in perspective. Long Beach may have seen a 10% increase in all violent crime. LA, our neighbor, has seen a 38% increase in violent crime. It's unlikely that we are going to see significantly lower crime than our close neighbor. LA's 10 times the size of us. They really are the driver for LA County.
I want to ask you, though, about the lower level crimes, because what I had thought is that as a result, arguably, of AB 109, which is prison realignment, sending lower level offenders from state prison to county jails, that the study said that there had been an uptick in some of these property type crimes. And the studies were linking it to AB 109. What about that element?
And the data really hasn't shown that. We've been kind of flat the last couple of years in property crime.
In Long Beach or overall?
I think Long Beach had 0.5% drop in 16 versus 15. Overall, we're still going to be higher than we were 20, 30 years ago when we had a lot of crime. But overall, the property rates have not gone up as quickly as the violent crime rate has gone up. So it's gone up, but it's just slowly ticking up, not the large jumps.
Look, you know, I'm not a sociologist. You're an expert in this field. I want to get a sense, if we have a sense what's going on, because look, there are a lot of trends that are kind of working for or against each other. You know, usually crime goes up during a recession. In this recession that we're out of, crime went down. Now we're coming out of the recession, crime's going up, so that seems counterintuitive.
Well, I think you raise a really good point because as the recession was hitting, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we still saw a general decline in crime. It wasn't really until, even with AB 109, it kind of stopped the trend, but we didn't see an increase in crime. It really wasn't until Prop 47 that we started to see that increase. So you're right, we did see a slight increase in crime at the same time the economy seemed to be doing better. But I don't know that there is a real economic cycle that you could point to here because crime was going down at the same time people were losing their jobs, people were losing their homes, and that happened over a 5 or 6 year period. When we had a bad recession, crime was still going down.
I've heard some sociologists say that maybe the recession was so bad that people were so depressed they couldn't even get out of their homes to commit crime. And so here we are coming out of the recession. I'm just repeating what I read. People are now more active, and maybe that's why we've seen these upticks with the recession fading.
Well, there's certainly a lot of factors at play. There are a lot of moving parts here with crime. I think the police are more sophisticated now than they were 20, 30 years ago. DNA and fingerprint technology is so much more advanced now than it was then. So it's possible that the police are more effective at catching the people who are committing property crimes, and that is stopping them from, instead of having a 5-year spree, you know, they're having a 5-month spree, whereas years ago you didn't have that type of technology.
Could that be the reason why we're seeing more property crime arrests? Because we are so much better at catching the bad guys.
Yeah, but property crime has just not spiked the way violent crime has, and I can't explain it. But I think property crime has been, at least in Long Beach, it's been relatively flat. I looked at Orange County just a few minutes ago. I was surprised. First of all, I didn't see any good numbers for the whole year of 2016. It's almost as if most cities have not released the whole year yet. But we saw about a 5% increase in Orange County, so it's not just LA County. It's going to be Orange County. In fact, I've seen statistics not just in California, but across the country in all the major cities, we're seeing an increase in crime. And it's actually not even as high in most major California cities as it is in some cities like Baltimore and Chicago, where they really are seeing very dramatic increases in violent crime.
Have you broken out crime statistics as it relates to those that are documented versus undocumented? Because we're hearing a lot of coming out of Washington. The studies I have seen suggest that the undocumented commit crimes at a lower rate than natural-born citizens.
Yeah, I don't have any data to support it, but my anecdotal impression is that there's no difference in the crime rate. In fact, I'm glad you raised that point, because there's a dialogue today going on that is talking about treating all people that may be undocumented the same and deporting all of them, rather than focusing on violent criminals. I think everybody agrees that violent criminals, after they're caught, deportation has to be one of the consequences for them. But the federal government is putting local law enforcement in a terrible position by making statements that local law enforcement is going to help deport low-end offenders, someone who's driving on a suspended license, for example. That is not the type of thing that traditionally we've deported people for, and saying that you're going to deport them and saying that local law enforcement is going to be part of that deportation process, I think over the long term is going to hurt public safety locally. You're going to see a lot less cooperation in migrant communities, who in many times are the victims of the violent crimes.
Can we talk about
here
that?
In California?
Because what we know, I remember recently new United States Senator Kamala Harris made the statement that those that are of Latino descent are 40% less likely to even report a crime, because now they are fearful of being involved with the government, which means immigration forces.
Now compared to a year ago?
I believe that's what she said. But what was interesting is PolitiFact did is it true? And they said it's mostly true. I mean, that's what they're saying. So what's your sense?
That certainly could be true. Let me just tell you an anecdote. We had a trial about a year ago where a drunk driver hit several parked cars and kept driving down the street. His car was damaged. And there was a person, Spanish-speaking only. Now, we have no idea if he was documented or not, but he followed the car. When the car stopped, he cornered the driver until the police came and arrived. He came to court and testified very competently about what he saw, and that drunk driver was convicted by my office. Would that person have inserted himself as a Good Samaritan today the way he did a year ago?
Well, anecdotally,
I think not.
yeah, anecdotally,
I think not.
I mean, I remember the LA Times did a piece about some LAPD officers, LAPD in Los Angeles, and they went to investigate a crime, and there were two individuals of Latino descent who they later determined were documented, not undocumented, and these individuals would not interact with the officers because they were just fearful.
And right now, prosecutors don't ask, the police don't ask, local law enforcement is not in the business of helping federal agents identify who on the streets is documented or undocumented. For people that are caught and the people that commit serious crimes, that has been that was the policy under Obama's administration. It's certainly going to be the policy under Trump's administration. I think everybody agrees with that part, but it's the part where you say you're going to go after every single person regardless of the seriousness of the crime, and the fact that Trump is saying we're going to use local law enforcement to go after these people. That creates a problem for my local police, and that bothers me.
And let's talk about that when you come back next time on the program.
Certainly.
Okay, he is Doug Haubert. He is the city prosecutor for the city of Long Beach. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're in Long Beach today, and we're so glad you're joining us on Local Edition.